Hi everyone, Rita Zamora here. Welcome to my channel. I'm super excited to bring to you some awesome social media insight and tips. I'm really honored to be visiting with Dr. Brian Baliwas today. So welcome, Dr. B.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited. It's always fun talking social media with you. You're a pro.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm actually really super excited. I've been wanting to talk with you for so long, and I thought that we might run into each other at a dental meeting, but that's obviously not going to happen anytime soon right now.
I'm going to miss those days. Hopefully it returns. It was always kind of a fun networking social scene, along with all the great learning that happens at those dental conferences. So hopefully in the future, we'll be able to return to something like that.
Yeah, I hope so. So I know that you've just finished a day of practicing, and with everything else going on, I appreciate you making time for us so that we could just get some of your insight. And you've really become what I consider one of the most powerful influencers in our profession on Instagram, seriously.
Yeah, it's interesting, that word. I always get people saying, oh yeah, how is it being an influencer? Um, Honestly, I just like sharing what I do on the daily. And it just so happens that some people find it interesting or some people gain something out of it. So, I mean, that word influence is kind of, it always has like a weird connotation in my mind. I picture myself on there as like a fitness person selling protein shakes whenever I hear that word. When really I'm just a dentist who likes sharing what I do. And it's also a two-way street. I feel like I learn a ton from people's comments, people's critiques. It's more of a community than anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that, take that as a compliment, please, because I mean, you really deserve the following that you've developed because of that, priority that you put on the relationships and the way that you interact with people and the respect that you have for your colleagues and your peers. And so, yeah, so
I appreciate it.
kudos. Yeah, so I wanted to ask you what your passion is behind social media and behind your Instagram. I know that's probably your tool of choice. Is that right?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because if you had asked me right when I got started, I'd feel like I'd give the stereotypical answer of like, oh man, like I want to get followers and I want to build this and turn it into something and get free product and it's kind of changed now. I see it more as a tool, as a communication tool where I get to connect with all sorts of people. I mean, even right now, I mean, you reached out to me via DM. We interact all the time. We share posts with each other. We have comments. We couldn't do that in the past. You couldn't interact with this many people and just throw out a question and get that many answers in the past. And so I want to use this tool to, you asked what my passion is. I think my passion is dentistry, and I'm always going to put that first. And so now my view of social media has been, how do I get it to support me as a dentist versus me on social media? How do I get my dentistry to lift off my follower? It just doesn't make sense. Like for me, it's dentistry first and all the social media stuff second.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's an interesting segue to the next question, is I've noticed that your content is evolving and most recently. And so I was going to ask you, how does that differ between, using your Instagram as more of an end goal personally versus for your practice? So what's going on with the shift in your content themes?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because whenever I have somebody who's like, I'm thinking about starting a page or I've got this page, what should I post? Everybody wants to know what their content should be. And I think that should always be true to whoever you are. I think your content should speak to what you do and the type of dentistry you do or what you want to share. Maybe your passion is bicycles, right? And you constantly talk to your patients about road bikes, and maybe you have road bikes up at your practice. Well, then that's what your page should be about. It should be true to you. So when you say my page has evolved, I'd say it's because I'm in this transitional phase where, I was once a dental student. That's kind of where my page started. And then I was an associate and I was trying to figure out dentistry. And then I was all about kind of the pains of being a new dentist, and that's where these memes started. And then now it's kind of, me as a brand new practice owner. I say brand new, it's been about a year. And I'm realizing the struggles there. And so as I struggle and also gain insight and get tips and tricks from some of my mentors, my page is just kind of an outlet for me to either share that stuff, whether it's positive or negative, and then get feedback from others so that they say, oh yeah, this is how I solved that, or you're right, I do like that product, or I don't like this product, or man, this do-it-yourself ortho thing is not great. I don't know. It's just more of what's going on with me in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it is kind of evolving, and I'd like to hope that, or I hope that it evolves further as I kind of continue on in my path. Now, I think I told you this, I'm kind of getting into speaking and kind of exploring that realm of dentistry. And so I'll probably have insight on that too, that I'll be sharing soon.
Yeah, well, that's very exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing you up on stage, and next time maybe I'll be sitting in your audience and like taking pictures and doing some activity in the audience while you're up there speaking. I'm sure it's going to be happening very soon. I know you've already been out there on some pretty big meetings, so.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier, I think you feel the same way about this. Those meetings are great. It's just one giant community, and it's interesting how social media is kind of turning into that as well. I mean, it took a pandemic to have some of these bigger speakers and educators and KOLs all of a sudden go, wait a minute, what am I going to do? I can't speak to a live group of people. Hey, why don't I go live on Instagram? And it's like, yeah, hey, welcome to like 2 years ago. Like, why? And I've been that person trying to push these people to start pages, and to share what they have. But it's always been looked at as somewhat of a childish endeavor. Would you agree with that? Like, social media is kind of like this, well, that's what these kids do.
Well, at least it's legitimate now, because as I was telling you earlier, I've been doing this a little while now. It's been a decade, which is crazy. But when I first started talking about social media, it was all about Facebook back in the day. But people would look at me like I'm a snake oil salesman. They're like, oh, they would roll their eyes and they would say, well, what are you going to talk about next year when Facebook is gone? Or, they were kind of like, pshaw. So
yeah,
like, I'm still here and kicking, but it's evolved, of course, now. But I think as you're talking about it, we would focus on writing, and blogging was my thing back in the day. There were not many dental bloggers 10 years ago, but we were kind of using it as, just an outlet and writing about what you're interested about. So it's just different now. It's more so on Instagram and or on YouTube. I noticed a lot more dental students and younger dental professionals gravitating, of course, on YouTube, but also more so on Instagram and YouTube. So I think that it's just evolving in that way, which is really cool.
You say, it's interesting because my first social media lecture, I want to say it was last year. Was it 2018? It was about a year ago, let's say. And I remember going up there, they announced it, social media marketing and dentistry and yada, yada, yada. About 2 hours in, we take our first break, and I get a bunch of assistants and staff members. Thanks for your help today. They come up and they go, oh my God. What's interesting is when the doc saw that this was a social media lecture, they had us come and they said, take notes. And they told us not to buy anything or sign up for anything. but 2 hours in, we realized that it's actually important that they're here hearing this and that you don't have anything to sell. And I'm like, don't have anything to disclose. I don't have a social media company. I just like sharing this information about how you can actually, one, get patients, or two, just reach whatever goal you want using this as a tool, as an instrument, and joining a community of people who actually like talking about cases and sharing whatever the heck they want to share. And so I actually had some docs come in like halfway through, like, oh yeah, my assistant said I need to be here for this. So it was interesting to see.
That's good. That's so good. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's moved up from, definitely being, people kind of looking at you with one eye closed is kind of suspicious, the topic back in the day, to now, oh, I don't have time for that, and it's like, I don't know how you don't have time for this. So it's definitely getting more legit. And I think actually the pandemic really helped to legitimize social media and just digital communication even more, because people were realized finally, like, oh, there's actually like all sorts of people that you can communicate with in this way. So that's very cool. So you also mentioned, there are still some skeptics out there, and also people that are struggling with it, some, doctors or office managers. Like, what do you see out there of the different challenges that they have, and what would be some tips that you have for them?
I think the toughest thing for most people is that they try to fit the mold. They try to fit into social media, as in like, okay, well, what do I need to do different in order to do this? What should I be? Should I sign up for this company? They're going to send me a bunch of signs. Do I hold them up? And like, do I ask patients
No.
now? Do I ask? And I guess my argument is, or my suggestion is, just don't do anything different. But, think about when you get a new patient in the chair and you just start trying to connect with them. You try to build that rapport. What do you talk about? Do you ask them about their family? And when they ask about yours, do you share that? Do you talk about your family, or do you talk about hobbies? What is it about the doc or the team? What do you guys gravitate to when you try to connect with patients? Now, and this applies to any office. Let's say you're a high volume place, and maybe you don't talk a lot to patients, and what you really focus on is prices, and you're out there marketing about how you do the cheapest and the fastest, and you have the best appointment times, whatever. Well, then that's what you should be posting about. So this is just a channel, an instrument, a tool that you can use to amplify whatever it is you're already doing. Now, obviously for us, we like to talk about the high quality dentistry we're doing. We like to talk about our hobbies. You see Xylo, our little dog, running around. So we post about her all the time. We're not doing anything different. Now we're just, in a sense, recording that, almost like taking records and then sharing that through this medium. You're doing it now with YouTube, right? I mean, you're recording this, and you're going to take that piece of content and distribute it out. So I guess the tip is, find that content you're trying to generate, and then find the channels, social media, email, whatever you want to do, and then send it out via that medium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think that's spot on. There's just something for some doctors, and I think it's, just the meticulousness of the profession of just analysis paralysis, or I don't know what it is sometimes that holds people back. So I'm really happy to see more and more doctors that are getting out there and speaking about social media, because I think it helps to, encourage more people, to start to dip their toe in or take things to the next level and start to explore more about how they can use it, because it really is such a powerful tool. And it's just really all about people at the end of the day. What makes it really cool is that I, hadn't really heard about SF Dental Nerd until you were in my audience at, I think it was a CDA in San Francisco. And then
It was.
after I started following you, I have to say, I mean, I do miss the memes because they were pretty dang funny. So I hope we'll still get a meme once in a while.
I'll post one tonight or tomorrow. I'll try to come up with something.
Okay, good. So yeah, I mean, I think the only last question that I have for you is, are there any other topics or any other tips or insight that you feel is really timely that you really want to share?
It's interesting because my lecture has been evolving as well. And I guess a year ago, I'd say, man, just kind of throw stuff out there, see what sticks, like try and get comfortable. And now I'm really kind of starting to pull back a little bit and say, you know what, this is serious stuff. As in, all it takes is one post that you didn't really think through very well, or that you kind of jumped the gun on, or that's taken the wrong way. and it can really have detrimental effects on you and your practice. And so I would say maybe, if you're kind of new to this or you're not really fully understanding the nuances, maybe talk to a couple people and say, hey, kind of map it out. Like, here's what I had in mind. Here's what I was thinking. And maybe implement a few checks and balances. As in, if you have your team members running your page, maybe all your posts have to go through the doc before they're approved, or vice versa. So that way you have a couple eyes on it. So, I'm guilty of this too. I'm not perfect. I've posted stuff and if anybody sees one of my lectures, I kind of throw in a couple of my archive posts that, like, I don't think I could get away with posting these days. But I take it as a learning opportunity, and so I guess that would be my tip is definitely explore, jump in there, have some fun, but be careful, because what you post out there is permanent. It doesn't go away, and there's no such thing as, well, I can quickly delete it. People screenshot stuff, and these days it's not a fair trial when you post something like that on social media. It's very much trial by fire.
Yeah, it used to be a lot more courteous back in the day when it was, oh, sorry, we're live and we have a train near my office.
That's okay.
But yeah, it's definitely gotten a little bit more aggressive at times. And I think, for dentists, just following what you said and just being yourself, and really anyone that's using social media, and just listening to your values and making sure it feels, good in your gut whenever you post anything. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how your social media continues to evolve. And thank you so much for taking a few minutes to visit with me. And it's good to see your face. Hopefully one of these days
Yours as well,
in person. So everyone, I hope that you got some great insight and great tips. And we might have to have SF Dental Nerd. That's your handle still, right? On Instagram.
yes.
Anyone who doesn't know of you, I don't know who wouldn't, but they'll hopefully follow you. And please subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more great programming in the future. So thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
Thanks, Rita. Thanks for having me.
Take care.